Hey everyone, welcome to the Bay State Golf Podcast. I am your host, Sean Melia, and today's topic is 9-hole golf courses throughout the Bay State. It's a little bit of a different episode because I have a guest joining me. Kevin Van Cleef is going to bring his favorites. I'm going to bring my favorites. We're going to talk about them, and hopefully you might find some new spots to go play. Might be reminded of spots that you forgot about. So it's going to be a fun one. Before we jump into the podcast, just a very quick reminder, or if you're new here, an announcement. Please subscribe, write a review, like this podcast, whether you're watching it on YouTube, listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever they ask you to do to just give this a thumbs up. That would be super helpful. Also, I have a newsletter that goes out every Friday morning. It is a concoction of everything I've done from the week, from podcasts or articles I've written, anything that I've posted on Instagram. I try to just put it all in one place and send it out to people with some other thoughts from the week or news from the week, whatever is on my mind about golf mainly, and sometimes not about golf. I also share my favorites from the week, TV shows, movies, articles, books, podcasts, music, food, drink, kind of a nice way for me to put a bow on my week. So you can find all of that in my newsletter, and that is baystategolf.beehiiv.com, and Beehive is BEEHIIV.com. You can go there and subscribe to the newsletter. Send one out every Friday. Every now and then you might find one in your inbox during the week too. But for the most part, Friday mornings, you'll hear from me with all of my stuff from the week. Finally, you can also just visit baystategolf.com. That's where all my reviews, photographs are of any golf course that I've played so far in my quest to play every course in Massachusetts. So you can go to baystategolf.com and check that out as well. So I'm in a lot of different places. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And now let's get to my conversation with Kevin Van Cleef about 9-hole golf courses in Massachusetts. Okay, I want to welcome in Kevin Van Cleef back to the Bay State Golf Podcast. Kevin, thank you for joining today to talk about 9-hole golf courses. I'm stoked.
Of course. Thank you, Sean. Always nice to talk to you.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, you've been on, we talked about Cape Cod Country Club. We talked about Katuitt, I think. You and Jed have been on to talk about the Double Dip, which you are a part of. So we've had some good conversations on here. And today we thought, I've done all these value picks around the state. I purposefully left 9-hole golf courses off. And last weekend, you texted me and said, "Hey, man, I'd love to be on the 9-hole episode when you do it." And I said, "Awesome! I need someone to talk to." So we're going to talk about. Each of us picked out 5. I've got a list of 5, and then of course, honorable mention that's almost as long. And I've got some private 9-hole golf courses as well. And I think you've done the same. So we're just going to kind of bounce back and forth. We might double up, which maybe is a good sign if we've got one that's both on our list. I think you followed my same rule. I only mention golf courses I've played. So if I haven't played it in this quest, it's it might be it might go on the honorable mention. I've got a little bucket list too, but as far as places I tell people to go play, I've got to have seen it. It's not just from another list I've seen or from recommendations. So that's my rule. And I wanted to, before we start talking about the golf courses, just before I hit record, you were talking about how you filtered through some of these and what your process was in highlighting the ones you picked. And I think we're kind of on the same page with that. So what were you thinking as you were going through your list and making it?
Well, I wanted to put the ones that, I knew would be a great suggestion where you're, always going to get value for what you're paying for, because kind of like we touched on, with the popularity of golf nowadays, unless you're getting out there early, this is a 9-hole, 18-hole, whatever, like it's pretty much playing on the public side is going to be a long day. So, for the amount of money you're going to pay, there really should be something out there that's worth seeing. And I wanted to make sure I led with that. But I've got a good list, and I tried to kind of spread it around to some different parts of the state. some different kind of pricing as well, but gonna really just focus on the pricing for like 9 holes walking. And it's just something to keep in mind throughout this whole conversation, is that a lot of these courses will have kind of flowing rates, given that, so many of them are so seasonal. You'll see towards the end, one of my picks has like all, like looking at the pricing sheet is like, I'm not a math guy anyways, but it can be a little confusing at times. So always just call and make sure you're getting the right numbers.
Yep. I mean, man, if there was just some uniform way that golf courses could all get together and like set rates, or just at least how they post them on their website, it is sometimes a nightmare trying to look back and forth and figure out what day am I going and what time am I playing, and am I a resident? Am I not a resident? And like, there's just all these little permutations. But I kind of hit the same thing, and it's such a bummer when you talk about like, we're only going to be able to play 9 holes, because I grew up playing a 9-hole course, and one thing I loved about it was I have memories of playing it 4 times in a day, right? I'm
totally
14, 15, 16 years old, get dropped off and just go play, and there's not a bother in the world, and you could go around in an hour and a half and then stop and get a hot dog and hang out in the air conditioning and then go do it again. And it does seem like that's a harder thing to do. I actually tried to find places that if I could do that, these would be places I would want to do. I would want to do it, whether it's the ease of the walk, or just kind of what I felt when I walked off the 9th hole. Like, would I want to go back and play it right away again? But it's such a bummer, because that's what I loved about 9-hole courses, is you eat them. They're like little bite-sized pieces when you're a kid and you're just like eating up golf. You could play a place 2 or 3 times in a day, 4 times, and just feel like you're completely satisfied, even though you're playing the same holes 3-4 times in a row. So it's kind of
and walking is always kind of usually promoted at 9-hole golf courses. So that's always a nice thing. There's a few on my list where, unfortunately, just like in most American golf courses, carts have kind of taken over. But it's nice that when you go to 9-hole courses, hopefully you see people walking and carrying most of the time.
Right, for sure. All righty, let's do it. Let's get your first one. You're the guest. I'll give you the first choice here.
Sure. We kind of talked about this the other day when we were getting a bite to eat, but Dudley Hill Golf Club, which is owned and operated by Nichols College. It is a 1926 Devereaux Emmett golf course, which everyone that knows me knows that that's a pretty special guy. One of the grandfathers of American golf course architecture, involved with the National Golf Links of America. Like, it's pretty amazing that you can go and see some of his architecture for $20 walking Monday through Friday, or $25 on the weekends and holidays. It is a really, really cute golf course. I played it a few years ago with Nate Limbach, and it's just the perfect amount of like woolly and fuzzy and just, kind of rugged edges. Really cool short par 4s, and the par 3s are really, really cool. My favorite hole out there is the 3rd, which is a short par 3 that kind of plays up to a graveyard. A very cool setting. And then the next hole, the 4th, kind of plays this big sweeping fairway down to the green. It's a really, really cool setting. So again, for the price you're paying, $20 to $25, you're going to go out there and you're going to see some really cool stuff and hit some really cool shots. Are there a couple weak holes out there? Probably. But I think that the fact that you can just see like so many cool features throughout the entire experience makes it worth seeing. And this is one, being that it's not as close to the city and it's kind of out there a little ways, you'd most likely be able to loop it twice, unless you go on like a busy Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And they're super nice. I'm on their email list. It's really cool.
I'm glad you threw out a Western Mass golf course, because it's become very apparent that I have a big blind spot right now in my quest of just courses out in the central and western part of the state. So thanks for picking up my slack and throwing one out there. I've got a long list of ones that I'd love to see, but the 9-hole idea around like none of these places have 9 awesome holes. I don't know how many 9-hole courses exist that have, they're all going to be a little bit flawed, and they're all going to have things that are not wrong with them, but just kind of the ebb and flow can sometimes be a little bit bigger than when you play a good 18-hole golf course for whatever reason. I don't know if that's because maybe the land is just less buildable or what, but it always feels like 9-hole golf courses, there's a few holes that are always a little bit flat, and maybe getting you to a better spot. But I think that's kind of part and parcel with the 9-hole golf experience. Anything else on Dudley? Family owned, which I think we always love.
Yeah, it's just really great. Like I sent my mom and my stepdad there. They like to go to the casinos out in Connecticut. It's right on the Connecticut border, so like they'll pop up there and play every now and then. It's just like, and my mom just started playing golf last year, so that just goes to show how accessible it is. It's just a really, really nice place. I can't remember if I was playing it with like old clubs, but it's just it's definitely one that's worth seeing, especially with the pedigree of architect and the price point. It's just a really cool spot. And definitely suggest, especially it's great that you could tack it on to another golf course. You go out and play 18 at Blissful Meadows or something out there, and then you can swing by Dudley and play 9, just like round out your day. So just keep it in mind. It's a cool spot.
All right, my first one, I don't really have any orders, so I'm gonna go to the other side of the state. We're gonna play Old Salem Green.
Yeah, that's my next
place
one.
That's your next one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, we've never played it together, but we've talked about it. It is obviously in Salem. It's a muni, and I've played there. It's kind of been one of those places I've played early. That's the other thing about 9-hole courses. I feel like I play a lot of them early in the season. The days are a little shorter.
Oh yeah.
The window of time where the weather is warm enough, right? You see like high of 50, but it's 50 for like 90 minutes. So 9 holes, you can kind of capture that little bit of the day where it's warm. Old Salem is $21 to walk and 24 if you're a resident, or sorry, 21 if you're a resident, 24 if you're an outsider. And if you want to go play 18, it's 35 and 41. And then on the weekend, it's 23 for a resident and 26 for a non-resident. This course,
I wonder how many people played 18 holes out of the people that showed up to play golf at Old Salem last year, because it is a busy golf course, man. Yeah. Like it is slammed.
Yeah.
I think it would probably take like at least like 6 hours to play 18 holes there.
Probably. A lot of,
the
second hole backs everybody up.
Exactly.
The blind downhill long par 3 that can, people, you could just wait around forever. You can't really see when people leave. It's a hard hole. Even the first hole. There's also, I've never explored down there, but if you walk through the parking lot there's a ghost hole that apparently people will go and practice on. If you walk, there's like a gate at the end of the parking lot.
Yeah.
I have never been back there.
Jed and I did it.
You guys did that. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Maybe it was Josh Strauss from Robinson Lane loves that place because he's from up there, and he mentioned it to me, and I've never explored it, but that's another, you could go practice. People are always looking for a place to practice. I guess there's a little secret spot you can go. We were talking about the first hole when we saw each other a couple weeks last week. That first hole is a great opener on any golf course. On
all world golf hole.
Yeah. Huge rock.
I'm not joking.
It's so good. So what do you like about it?
The tee box is so cool. I'll send you the pictures, but Jed and I, we're just like farting around, just like waiting to go off. Cause again, it's so busy. And we're just up on these like super cool old, like stone tee boxes that I could see him like using on tournament days only and stuff like that. But the other tee, like the main tee box kind of like wraps around the clubhouse, which it's just a really cool kind of amphitheater and one of my favorite places to like Jed and I had as much fun, if not more fun, just having a couple beers and some food afterwards, just watching people tee off on that hole. It's just really, that's like one of my favorite parts. But then, you know, the angle of the fairway and the scale of the green is huge. And there's just so many cool pins on there. We were just walking around looking at all the spots where you could put a pin, and it's just, it's again, like, I'm not joking when I say like all world, like one of the coolest holes, one of the coolest styles of Van Cleef holes that I've played for sure. Like, no doubt.
Yeah. Huge rock in the fairway. If you miss right, you're kind of just walking through this rocky outcropping. It's a great hole, whether it's a 9-hole muni or, you know, an 18-hole or up on some private place, but it is great. And then the 4th hole for me is the other one that I particularly love. It's a great par 5 with an awesome green sight, and the reveal as you come up looking for your second shot, because it's a blind layup, is a great. The green is great. The tee shot is pretty. It's like a challenging. You're up there, like, I got to pound this ball if I want to have a good shot at just maybe getting it up close to the green. The land all falls off to the right at the on the second shot into trees and like a little river. It kind of sets you up for the next few holes, because the 5 is a cool par 4 where you tee off almost into a valley and then you play up to the green. It's a short one. 6 is a wild dog leg. So it kind of gets you in the mode of like, all right, now you're here at Old Salem. So it's just that whole 4 is great, and that stretch is pretty neat. But it's overall just a really good golf course.
Yeah, I think that the good holes outweigh the bad holes. You know, because if we had to split them up real quick, like let's weak holes, like 2, 3. I don't love 6 and 7. You know, are like not great, but the remainder are pretty good. You know, like cool stuff to see. I remember the 9th green being like pretty cool, but usually at that point I'm just so ready to get off the golf course.
I know, it's
like
such a shame.
When you get to 8, that par 3 was like such a cool green. You're just like standing there and you're just like, oh my God, it's been like 2 hours and 30 minutes. And like, the first hole is so far away, and that was amazing. But it's just, it kind of ebbs and flows, but it definitely, there's way more good to see out there, and just the vibe and the hang overall is fantastic. Again, $24 weekdays, $26, 9 holes walking, you know, get out there, bring a couple beers, like, you know, look at some stuff, you know, just don't expect to play in 2 hours.
Yeah. Yep. Which is a shame. I think that's just become almost the norm these days.
Right.
Andy Johnson this morning I was listening to they're at Northern Ireland, and he made a great point. I think Salem hits this, is there are great golf courses and then there are great places. And he kind of like created a distinction, and they were talking about Ardglass and how, like, yeah, the golf course is fun and it's on the water and it's got all these, but he said just the sense of the place and like the people are nice and you could just hang out there, and it has a little bit of a feel to it that's not just about the golf course. You mentioned just hanging out on the patio there watching people play. When I remember being there one time, and this guy's just collecting cash for some money game that guys are playing on a Thursday evening or a Friday evening. And it just does have that feeling of like, it is a cool golf course, but I think that going to the place is probably more of the draw. It's got a little bit of both, but I thought that was an interesting distinction he made that made me think about some of these golf courses, and some of them you like it because the place is great. There's some 9-hole golf courses I left off my list because I thought about my experience being there. Like, I don't know if I would recommend someone go play
Fresh Pond.
That's actually not what I was thinking of, but that is certainly one, right? Where people are like, oh man, I get badgered, or the people are just, it's kind of a tough scene. So anyways, Old Salem is great for both reasons, I think, but it's a fun place to just go and hang out and play 9 holes and have a beer.
That was a stray I'm sorry.
That's fine.
That place is cool. Like, you want to talk about like cool golf holes, like, you know, the cool like holes outweighing the bad holes. Like, I think Fresh Pond has some cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
And that's another one. Like, I think that's a Walter Hatch, like, built by like one of Ross's associates, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's some, I love how walkable that golf course is, and like the price is usually right, but it is just a disaster of pace of play.
Yeah.
And you know, I understand you're in Cambridge, but
Yep.
you know, it is what
Yep.
it is. Old Salem.
All right. Old Salem. What's your next one?
My next one, I think that the two of the ones that I have listed, you and I are going to overlap on.
That's great.
So I'll just go with Cape Ann next.
Okay.
I'm sure the Cape Ann's on your list. You
it's
made
on
a
my
really
list.
nice video about it. So I'll just hop in with that. Skip Wogan, opened 1931. Skip Wogan was one of Ross's proteges up there. I think at Essex. He was like a golf pro and also like designed courses in the area. $35, 9 holes walking, and this is like a complete bargain for the land and the views and the experience at Cape Ann. I've sent so many people to see this golf course, and every single one of them comes back and is like, I can't believe how cool that place is. Very old school vibe and setting. I think you book through an app now, but you can always just call and book your tee time with the pro shop. Just so enjoyable being there. You know, opening holes are cool just with the land, you know, nothing crazy. The greens there are nothing that's going to like blow you away.
Right.
But like you get to the fourth hole and it's just like one of the most amazing views you've seen like in New England golf. Very cool place. And this is one you'd probably be able to play 18 holes at just because of how kind of like up there and remote it is.
Yeah.
But man, like, you know, being able to play that hole from different tees is just so fun. And one of them plays as a par 4, one of them plays as a par 5. It's just super fun place to just go and like just hanging around and just beating around. Reminds me a lot of home, like reminds me a lot of the Cape, like Cape Cod, that is.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you get out to like the 6th and 7th and the marshy areas, and you can tell in that video that you put up that they've been doing a ton of work, like a ton of drainage work. I know they've added some bunkers. Not a huge fan of like the ones on the, you know, in between 5 and 6, but honestly, like the 7th is like one of my favorite golf holes in New England or that I've played. I love long par 3s.
Yeah.
That green is comically small for the shot that you're required to hit in there. So I think that they could probably move that out a little bit, but that's just, you know, just such a high point of the round. And then I really like 8 hitting over the marsh. I mean, what do you like about it? I've like went through the whole course.
I mean, everything you said. I think even you kind of glossed through the view from the 4th, and that there's like a slow reveal where you hit your tee shot on 2, and all the trees are on the left. But after like 150 yards, the trees go away and you just start to see the 3rd green, which is kind of up and to the left, and you play 2, and then you walk to the 3rd tee box, and you just get like, there's this like slow peeling of that view of the marsh that then you get like fully on the 4th tee box, which is just a kind of a charming thing when you've never played there before. I've only been there once. I played 18 holes, and but that, you know what's coming, but getting to see it like in these little increments and then getting up on the 4th tee and looking out and like, oh man, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So
that's well said.
That piece is great. 7's a polarizing hole. Some people, we did not play it from, it was like 220 from the tee box.
Yeah.
And it was windy, and we were like, screw this. We're gonna, I think we played 1 tee up.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes you have to hit driver, and like, you know, like it's just, look at where it is, like with the wind, like they put it there for that reason.
It's wild.
I just don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to go back. And I know I sound like a, you know, whatever, hardo or whatever, but it's just, you just don't get to take that shot on that often, you know.
Yeah.
And again, par doesn't matter, you know, like think of it as a par 4, you know,
right.
Just get back there and hit it.
I will say the one thing people should be very aware of, and you can usually look on Crane Beach's website, is the greenheads, if you go in the peak of the summer, are vicious. and you'll just be you actually will be miserable playing golf in like maybe mid July up through early August. Like if you go in the evening, you're gonna bug spray doesn't do anything. It's useless. You're just gonna so just be aware of that. But Cranes Beach usually does a daily update because Cranes Beach is another place that just gets impacted by them, and that's right around the corner from Cape Ann. So, and then the other part about that whole area is just the area in general. Their clubhouse is been kind of updated, and they've got a bar that doesn't quite match the feel of the golf course. You walk in and it's like bright and clean and shiny, and you feel like it should be kind of a grungier place, maybe with Keno or something like I've seen at other public spots that are just a little bit rough around the edges. And Cape Ann's just done a nice job, and they have some cool history up on the wall, so they've got some stuff, but it is a new place. And then you can go into Essex, and Jed and I, when we went and played, we had we went to Woodman's beforehand, had a beer at Great Marsh, and then went and played 18 holes. It was a kind of a great day. It was a little bit of a mandate. That we had up on the North Shore. It was great.
That sounds great. I'll sneak in a little shout out. I haven't done any research on it, but I know we've talked about Rockport, that other 9-holer up there on the Cape Ann kind of Gloucester area. I've played that and it's great. As far as I know, they were kind of semi-private before. And I think during COVID, they started operating as fully public, but I haven't looked into it, but that's definitely worth seeing if they're if you can get out, especially at both of them.
Let's go to North Hills in Duxbury.
Okay. Never played
Open year round. You've never played You've never played North Hills. Okay.
No.
And this is another place I played in like December at the end of 2020, maybe. 9 holes is $25 on the weekday, 27 on the weekend. Has maybe the strongest first 3 holes of like a lot of courses that I've played. The first hole is a cool par 5. 2 is an incredibly hard par 4 that plays through. It's kind of tree line, but you're playing way uphill. People love it. It's just hard. I think there's some things about it that are a little bit weird. But the third hole is this, like, you hit downhill over some water into a valley up to the green, and the green site is protected by this big bunker, and everything kind of sits up, and it's got some cool movement to it. It's just a really good unsung golf course. I wanted to give it a shout out because I think you can get in the mode of just talking about a lot of the same places over and over again.
Yeah.
And this one is cool. It's another, public owned. It's a muni. And it's a place kind of like you were saying, where if you took the good holes and the bad holes, like the good holes outweigh the bad holes, maybe like 6-3. It's a cool spot. Sweet. So it's in Duxbury. It's open typically, like you can play it year round.
Yeah, one of my coworkers goes and plays it. I'm excited to be down this way to revisit a lot of courses. I moving back down to Plymouth, it's going to be exciting to revisit some courses I haven't been to in a long time.
Yeah,
but also see some ones that I haven't seen.
Ass kickers.
Yeah. I like that. Like, not to be too formulaic, but like I love like a par 5 opener. And like especially when you have some room. I don't know if that's the case there, but. I like to just be able to swing for it, Yep.
Yeah. Wide open. The fairway's like a big swale, that kind of swale from tee to green. So it's like a big bowl where a lot of balls end up kind of in the same place. You can hit a short one, it'll roll down. First 3 holes are all kind of bangers. And then, it's just another good deal, a pretty easy walk, got some good little hills, some good greens. So North Hills and Duxbury, don't really have anything extra to say about it, but people should go definitely check it out this summer.
Yeah.
Or now,
I'm going.
Daylight's growing. So
I'm ready.
All right. What do you got?
I guess Highland Lakes, you've talked about Highland Lakes a little bit.
I haven't played in the Quest.
Oh, okay, sweet.
I played it a bunch before the Quest, so this is good because it's not on my list.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about? Should I talk about it?
Please, yes, I want you
to. Well, first of all, in the summertime, $35 walking is like just a complete steal for the experience.
Highway robbery. Yeah. Yep.
That's all I could find on the website for pricing. So, but in the off season, they'll have an OtterBox up, and it's worth, if you got a nice day and you got a couple buddies or a buddy, take a ride out there and check it out. But 1892, like one of the oldest golf courses in the country, 9 holes walking, like I said, $35. And there was a good article in Links Magazine, just to kind of breaking it down. It was fairly recent too. But the thing about Highland Links that really has stood out for me over the years is I've been able to play it in the morning a lot and like be like very, very early off, like first few groups. And it is just transcendent, with the sun coming up from the east and just amazing views, especially when you work your way across the golf course, starting on one. A lot of people like kind of hate on one. I think it's cool. Kind of like drivable par 4. And then, working down into the valley to 2, which is like such a cool drive. 3, you have to play the upper hidden tee box. It's a must play. And every time I'm paired up with someone in the mornings, I'm going up there, and they've played there before. They're there for the same reasons I'm there. And they've never been up there. So it's right there. You'll see the path right next to the lower tee box on 3. But then when you get up top and work your way over to 4 and then 5, and then you're like right next to the ocean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, this is just why people play golf. It's unbelievably special piece of land, and we're so lucky that it exists. It's just it's one of those places where it's like, if it was like fully restored and like perfect and they were charging $150 for the round, like would it be as special as it is today, being like a little shaggy and rugged and kind of presented the way that golf was presented a long time ago? I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, my memories of playing it, I played it a bunch back in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
I was just out there a bunch in the summers, and I was like a college kid, and I really liked it. I went back. I would play it like over and over again. I hated the first hole. I thought,
yeah.
But now looking back, thinking about, it's a 9-hole golf course. We were talking about North Hills, and just an easy opener. There's no range. You're getting out of your car. You're going to the clubhouse. You're paying your money. You're walking across the street. It's like, all right, well, I can hit an 8-iron off this tee and then a wedge if I wanted to. I don't have to hit driver, or I don't have to try to drive the green and end up in that, like, there's that, if I remember correctly, there's like a long skinny bunker that runs in front of the green or just far enough away that it becomes a nuisance.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, the experience is incredible. It is, you kind of, just the idea of how the course is presented. I think some people don't like the way it's presented, or they see some of the holes kind of, I don't know, falling flat, but I loved playing it every time. Wind is always blowing. You're always going to get you're going to see holes in completely different ways each time, because just the way the land is out there and the way the wind blows, and you can get a weird blast of rain. You feel like you're playing in Scotland or Ireland. Many people have said it is the only kind of true links golf on the East Coast. I have no idea if that's actually true or if that's just something people say about Highland Links. But it is definitely a rare golf course in this neck of the woods. And probably along the East Coast. But I'm looking forward to getting back there. It's one of those ones it's like, you want to do it. I want to do it properly.
Yeah, totally. I understand. You got to go in the morning. You got to go in the morning. You got to like get an Airbnb. Like, you got to play it. So I've never played Chequassett, but you got to do that, and then maybe have an Airbnb and then just play Highland in the morning or something. It's just amazing. I can't stand. I have it in my notes here. I just can't stand when people critique and criticize that place and bitch about green speeds and bitch about I took some pictures of the turf last time I was there, and it's just like awesome to see like the grass a little bit longer. It's like, what do you want, man? You know, like these guys are open for, 4 months in the summertime, like when they're actually like rocking and rolling. You know, they're taking care of it year round. But I mean, it's just, you guys were just enjoy it. Just go out there and just, be glad it exists and like just take in the views. The other thing that, is just unfortunate kind of, ways of the world is they need to water that place because of carts. If there weren't carts, trampling the fairways there and like driving through the fescue, like they could just let it go and like, let it brown out and let it get firm and fast. But, there's just people just want to ride in golf carts nowadays, and it's really a shame. But yeah, it has to be overwatered.
Yeah. Got the lighthouse right there.
It's amazing.
It is definitely it's a very cool place. Very, very rare. I know that my colleague Jim McCabe talks about going out there and if you're a single and you get paired up, you could get paired up with
anybody,
people who are summering there, but you could be paired with a fisherman who just hopped off his boat and wants to play a quick 9 holes before he goes home, or he's playing 9 holes before he gets on the boat. So it's definitely, you're going to run into a bunch of different kinds of people, and go for a walk. That's the other thing Jim always talks about is like 9 holes. I'm just going for a walk with a set of clubs and chasing a ball around. So, that's a good one. I'm looking forward to getting out. That's definitely on my bucket list, but there's some of these, it's doing this, like there's some places you don't mind going in and checking off. And there's other places you're like, I want to get it right. I want to do it the right way.
Right. You've talked about taking the ferry over, and that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Lots of different ways to do it. So, all right, let me look through here. We have not talked about, I'm going to do another one that is a little unheard of as far as I think places people like to talk about. I don't know if you've played here. Have you played Sassamon Trace?
Out in like Natick, right? Yeah, it was a dump, right? Yeah. I think that there's some cool stuff out there. And, if you're going to go on, like, there's a lot of people go and hit balls out in that area. There's a few different ranges that you can go and use. But, that place is cool. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's $26 to walk on the weekdays and $30 on the weekends. You start with a par 3. I think it's a par 32, 33. So there's a bunch of par 3s. But just as far as like the way the course is set up, you play 1, 2, and 3, and 2 and 3 are like, cause it's on a landfill. You have these weird, like steep drop offs, and some tight spots to land your ball, and kind of creates these dramatic little green sites, especially 2 and 3. And then you walk through the woods and you play 4 is a par 5, 5 is a par 4. And you're in this, like, there's an orchard to your right as you're playing the dog leg there, and you're in this different little setting. And you play, and then you come after you play the 8th hole, like 4 through 8 are all in that little pocket. And you walk back and you play 9, which is this really cool Cape hole, dog leg right, where you can like bite off as much as you want to chew. I played in the morning and like the light coming down. It was just I played 9 holes. It's an easy walk if you live out in that area. I think there's a lot of golf courses like that out in the Natick area too, but it's just it never gets it gets short shrift. I think it's obviously, it's a par 32, 33. So I think people just like, it's got a par 5 though. And you're hitting different irons into the par 3s.
Yeah. If you're nitpicking far going to a 9-hole golf course, I think
some people do.
Yeah, that's so silly.
I think some people do. I think they want they want that full. I want to feel like I played a par 35 and got my 1 or 2 par 5s and got to hit my driver a bunch.
You could always go and play. You could always go and play 9 holes at an 18-hole golf course too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yes, you could.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Never going to please everybody.
No, never. But Sassamon Trace, kind of like North Hills, I wanted to get some on here that maybe don't get a lot of attention from folks, but are really good value and have some cool stuff. I think you could take a beginner to Sassamon Trace as well. Like,
Definitely.
There's some value in that as well. So that's my fourth. I've got one more. Do you have one more?
I've got one more. Mine's kind of like a big baller one though.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's it's we're gonna stay down on the Cape, actually, on the islands, and this is a baller golf course for a 9-hole golf course.
Yeah,
but I have a way to get on for a pretty good price, and I'm talking about Mink Meadows, which is on the Vineyard. It's Wayne Stiles' last golf course. It is most well known for their routing. It's routed in the square, kind of like Muirfield. And they had my friend Matt Crow there was the superintendent there before he went over to Cape Cod Country Club, and he actually found the routing map from Stiles, and it has the inside holes on the plan, but they went through some financial hardship or something and sold out the land, so those holes were never built. But the square routing remains. It's really cool because it was built originally into the fire breaks on the island. So you can just see like a few of the holes that run parallel with the fire breaks. The break just keeps going, but the holes turn. So it's just a really cool kind of experience and thing to remember and like look at on Google Earth. So yeah, Muirfield routing, really cool, great greens, fantastic conditioning. And I would hope so because it is expensive, and I highly suggest. And again, you're going to be on Martha's Vineyard. Wanted to toss this one in there just because it is a very, very cool one. But I would definitely highly suggest playing in the shoulder seasons. And this is the one that I like looking at the rates sheet was like making my brain hurt a little bit. But the best way to play, in my opinion, if you wanted to catch it in peak conditions and you happen to be on Martha's Vineyard, I know this is kind of a interesting set of circumstances, but they have an early bird special for its 9 holes before 7:30, and you're paying $58 for the 9 holes. Yes, it's expensive, but I'm telling you, like, conditions were like fantastic. You can tell that place has been cared for with a really good budget for a long time. If you want to play 9 holes during the day at Mink Meadows during the summertime, you're paying $95. And the twilight rate is $85. So again, that's in the summertime. You'll find some spring rates around the 40s, some fall rates around the 60s. You'll find that breakdown. But if you happen to be going over to play like Farm Neck or Chappie or just really if you're just over there and want to play golf and feel like seeing a cool place, this one I would suggest checking it out at some point.
I played here 20 plus years ago. I had a friend growing up who would go spend 2 weeks on the Vineyard every summer, and I went over and visited him one year, and he was on the golf team with me in high school, so we went and played. And it was one of those places that as a high school kid, we were both fine at golf, and you could score. Oh yeah. There's a couple like short, I think there's a short par 5. So he might have, like, he was so excited because it was like our first time being able to shoot under par for 9 holes, just because the par didn't really matter. Right. I think it might be a par 35, but you could definitely score there. I remember it being in very good shape. Yeah. And just being super, super simple as far as like everything, the trappings around it. It was just a clubhouse. You go play golf. You walk in a square and you go home. I didn't realize it was that much money. I don't remember, wild. I don't remember what it would have cost in 2001, 2002, but that is pricey. But before 7:30 is like, that's a good window of time to get out. It's not a before 6:45 or you can. That's a good 90-minute window probably where they let people out to play for $58. Which, and the thing is, you're still a good chunk of money, but you're trying to get out and play and probably get onto your day on Martha's Vineyard or get off the island or something. So again, just something to keep in mind. It's just again, I
I wasn't sure if I wanted to put this one on there just because I tend to kind of stray more towards the affordable, more 100% public places, but I thought it was a cool one to toss in.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a resident rate? Did you see a resident rate on there? Do people who
I don't remember,
but I think columns.
I think yeah. I think I remember their membership not being like outlandishly crazy, but I think they cap it at a certain number. I don't know who's buying memberships. I don't run in those circles.
Yeah. That's why we're finding $20 golf courses.
Yeah.
My last one is Marion.
Yeah.
Another
Sweet.
Another 9-holer down south. It's $21. So they have a cool system where you can play 9 holes, 18, or basically buy an unlimited pass for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's $21 for 9. On the weekends, it's 23. And then if you want to play 18 holes, it's 29 on the weekdays, 31 on the weekends. And then if you just want to show up on a weekday and play as much golf as you want, it's $45. Mm-hmm. And it's 50 on the weekends, which is a pretty incredible deal. If you are going to play 27 holes, you have the day, or it's going to be quiet, and you show up and you're like, oh, let's just go around 3 times. It's doable because it's such an easy walk. It is, of the courses I've picked out, it is the flattest golf course, I think, of maybe all the ones we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an easy, stress-free walk. The golf course is, some people, I think some of these places are polarizing, and just because they all have a little bit of quirk and they've got their little things, and I kind of like those things and find them charming for the most part. And Marion has those in spades. The second hole, people think they're hitting to the 7th green.
Yeah.
But the dog leg is so sharp that, you hit your tee shot and you think you're on the green, and then you realize you're on the wrong green. The 3rd hole and the 8th hole, you're hitting over rock walls and into the par 3s. You've got this like berm running through the middle of 4, 5, and 6 with rocks and grass, and you get stuck in one of those. They got trees sprouting out of them. Like it's super rough. But I just found it really charming. I only got to play 9 holes the day I played because I had golfer's elbow and like just couldn't play anymore. But then I went out and took drone footage and just kind of hanging out and watching other people who were there. It was for a Golfer's Journal event, just watching other people play the golf course. And they were all just so stoked to be there on like a Friday evening in September. It was a crazy sunset that evening. We had the place to ourselves. They just kind of rented got all the tee times from 3:30 to the end of the day. So people just showed up and just cranked out 9 holes, 18 holes. I think there were guys who did one. You could bring one club out with you and just play with one club. It's just one of those cool places. You're tantalizingly close to the water, but you never really get like a great view of the water except for the 6th green.
Yeah.
Is really the only place where you're like, oh, the water's right there.
Yeah.
And I can see some boats. There's a huge house that kind of blocks a lot of the view that you could possibly have. But I just found it charming. It's a great emergency 9. I know Gil Hanse is going in to do some stuff. The greens are basically like, when you look at them from up above in my drone stuff, you realize they're all like perfect circles.
Yeah.
The second hole is kind of wild. It's almost shaped like a saddle, like a ball's just going to run off either side, front and back.
Yeah, that's the hog's back. That's a crazy. Yeah. That's a crazy green.
Wild.
Yeah.
But then the rest are pretty mundane. I'm interested to see what Gil Hanse does. I don't know if he's just going to like build up bunkers and do a little bit of touch up work, because I don't know how much they want to do to it. So I have no idea, but I could imagine he'll do a couple little things and just improve it a little bit. But for what it is, for like being down in that area, for being close to Catanset, which is almost the other kind of end of the golfing spectrum, as far as you're on the water there, you're playing, really good greens, in phenomenal condition. Mm-hmm. And then on your way out of Catanzet, on your left is Marion, and it's kind of the shaggy stepbrother that someone's gonna love. So I liked going down there. I'm looking forward to seeing it again when I can play it a few more times.
Yeah, I haven't been, and it's been too long. My brother was there last year. It just seems like they're in really good hands right now, and it seems like that there's a lot of people that really care about that place, and it's cool to see, them just kind of slowly building year over year. But I couldn't make it with my brother. It was a frost delay the day that he was playing, and he sent me a picture of just on their patio they had a little fire going, and just like a little, just like a little campfire. And it's just little things like that just goes such a long way, and that's kind of what you're gonna hopefully run into at these little places.
Yeah, yep. And another, you mentioned when we talked about Salem, another really cool first tee setting because the clubhouse is right there, and you're just you show up, and the only place
they have the ball thing.
We got the ball ramp or whatever, spiral, and you show up, you put your bag down, and if you put your bag down too hard and there's a group on the first tee, you're gonna, you could distract somebody as they're trying to figure out where the hell they're hitting their first tee shot because you can't see the first green from the first tee, and people are like, where the hell am I going? It's you just go out that way, just hit a 5-iron. That's all you need.
Yeah, I love that. I love that hole. I really like that hole. Yeah. Another
good easy step into a golf course that has no range, and you're just walking 100 feet from your car to the first tee. So yeah, I really liked it. I'm looking forward to going back. The 9th hole with that crazy, it's like a punch bowl. I'm sure they see a lot of hole-in-ones, but you can only see the top of the flag stick because there's a huge bunker in front. It just got all these little things that just put you off a little bit if you're super into I don't know, golf the way it's televised and the things people might see when they're watching golf and the professionals play, and then they go to this place and they're like, this is unlike anything I've seen on my television, and I'm new to golf. But at the same time, I think that's what more people should be seeing and experiencing. And it's a great beginner golf course because there are no force carries. There's nothing other than 2 walls, and you can play between the wall. It's a good beginner golf course. It's a place I could have imagined growing up and learning how to play golf.
Right.
Over my childhood. So definitely a good spot.
Totally.
Yeah. Any honorable mentions? That just ones that you were thinking about that, I've got some I can just run through quickly if you want to. You got your paper notes there.
Yeah, just a couple that I, Greenock or Greenock. I can't remember how Jed said to say it.
I think it's Greenock.
I think you're right. That little 9-hole Ross out in the furthest top corner of Massachusetts. That one's on my list. Chequesset, like I mentioned. Yeah, I want to see Vineyard Club in Whitensville, the private ones, obviously. There's a lot of, we're just blessed up here in Mass. There's just so much good golf. And then you want to talk about Maine, and there's just so many cool little 9 holes in Maine. There's a lot of cool golf up this way.
Yep.
What's on your list?
I had Unicorn is on my honorable mention.
Oh, yeah.
It's a place that is in Woburn. I kind of want to keep it close to the vest because it's close it's close to where I live, and I can get up there pretty quickly and play it. It's another place like Old Salem where I played last Friday when we got some good weather, and I showed up and I knew this is going to take 2.5 hours, and I'm not going to, and it didn't bother me at all because it's I could be indoors right now because it's 35, but it's 55, 50 degrees. It's sunny and I'm playing golf. So it does not matter. And I was with a buddy. So, but Unicorn is cool. Hooper in New Hampshire is another one that's really great. It's not obviously in Massachusetts, but one that I would recommend anybody go up and play. It's far away, but you can stay overnight in their tavern, in their inn and tavern. It's awesome. I put Fresh Pond on my honorable mentions. I know it's kind of it was Sassamon Trace or Fresh Pond. I was like, I don't know if Fresh Pond is necessarily a place I would strongly recommend people go play because of the place thing.
Yeah.
And the experience. It could turn off people who are
real
new
quick.
to the game.
real quick,
really quickly. Like, oh, this is okay. This is what golf is like. I put Katuitt on here.
Of course,
did a whole thing about them, about it last week.
Yeah, thank you for
bring it to the party.
No, I think I've spoken a lot, and you've been kind to mention them a lot. It's just a great place, and just so counting down to opening day, April 1st. Katuitt High Grounds, get down there.
Yeah, Wednesday nights. Go play. Go play the quota game. It's the best.
Totally.
And then I had 2 private places on here that I've played that I think maybe people haven't heard of, because I know like Whitensville, and I don't know, is Cohasset private?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know anything about that place really.
I don't know anything about it either.
It's just, I think there's just so much confusion with like Cohasset, like yeah.
But that's out kind of in the western central Mass area. But as far as privates that I've played that I like, Sharon is a cool 9-hole. They actually have 10 holes, so you play 1 through 9, and then you go back and you play 1 through 8 again, and then their 18th hole is a completely different hole. So you don't play the 9th hole a second time. You play an 18th hole. Kind of brings you back closer to the clubhouse. So I think the members were like, they rerouted some of it, and they didn't love their 9th hole, so they used a 10th hole, as I understood it. So they've got 10 holes, which is maybe the only course I've played that has 10 holes, which was kind of cool.
That's sweet.
And then I got Rockport, Old Newbury up on the North Shore as well, and Tatnuk is the other. One on my list is a 9-holer out in the west that I'd love to see. So yeah, people kind of dig on Massachusetts golf sometimes, and that it's not that great. But when you really look closely and you try to make a list like this, and you realize all the places you're leaving off of it are the places you want to play to add to it. I mean, you said we're spoiled. We definitely are spoiled. We don't have like the top notch. We don't have, the Arcadia Bluffs. We're not Michigan, where you get these crazy dramatic spots, because our seaside is not just either was protected, especially on the Cape, but you get good golf in every chunk of the state. You can go to any pocket and you're going to play some good golf and find some good stuff to experience. So, any last thoughts here as we wrap up? We weren't sure how long we'd go, and here we are an hour later just talking about 9-hole golf courses.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love playing 9-hole golf. It's how you were saying, like how we grew up playing, and just there's plenty of places to see. So get out there and check them out. I mean, there's with how great their the golf experience is up in Maine. There are so many less golf courses than in Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. Like it's not that far away. I mean, and then like looking at the breadth of golf that we have compared to like our neighboring states, we're pretty lucky here in Massachusetts. So a lot of good value, and a lot of places definitely worth seeing.
Yeah. And 9-hole golf it's like, I find myself wanting to watch TV shows instead of movies. And in some cases, movies are like the 18-hole experience at this point sometimes, where you're like, do I have the time to invest, or would I rather play 9 holes and maybe then think about after 9 holes, do I want to play 18 more? And you end up watching 3 episodes of something that ends up being the same amount as one movie, but you're like, I had the option to eject at certain points.
Right.
And 9-hole golf kind of has that same vibe where you're like, I'll play 9. If I get around quick enough, maybe I'll play 9 more.
Yeah. Maybe it won't be busy. Holes. And then it's busy.
Maybe it won't be busy. You're right.
Busy.
But definitely has that vibe. So we need more 12-hole golf courses, but when we have a ton of money, Kevin, in 15, 20 years, we'll build a 12-hole golf course in somewhere.
Yeah, totally.
You and me.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Kevin. Always welcome to come on, and always love chatting with you. So thanks. And the weather's getting good, so you got to get out and play again.
Can't wait, bud. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Yep.